Hey professionals, check this out. This Fusion composition is being built in seconds, not hours. Nodes added, settings dialed in, pixel perfect to my exact vision, and it's all powered by AI writing custom automations for me. Just to show you how easy it is, I can copy from this conversation with ChatGPT, then in this little box right here, just hit paste, enter, and just like this, already done automatically. And what's crazy is this AI isn't taking away jobs, it's just knocking out all that boring grunt work.
What is my purpose?
Pass the
Images.
Thank you.
Oh my god.
Yeah, welcome to the club, pal.
This is just going to show how AI can save us hours today and not in some distant future when the technology finally works. It's working now, which is crazy. And so the first thing we need to understand is, where is AI actually going to be helpful in saving time? And this shot here is a perfect example. So if you've worked in Fusion, you know that some really cool effects take no time at all, like this 3D box or even creating this 3D dome. But creating the texture for this background was going to be really time consuming despite how simple it was. I've got all these video clips, and I don't have just a couple or 10. I've got 55 of these media clips, which I need to line up into a grid so that it eventually looks something like this. If I wanted to do this manually, I would have my first media clip, and then I would add a transform node, and then I would reposition it here, make it smaller, and reposition. And then once I'm happy with that, I would take it, paste it across this other one, drag it to the left, and then repeat that for all 55 clips. Now, I know some of you are going to bring this up. Well, you could just use expressions to automate these positionings. And while that's true, expressions have one major downside where they're recalculated every single frame, which simply means if I was to try and play this with that many maths calculations going on, I would crash my computer. So the first thing we need to understand is, how do we get ChatGPT to communicate with DaVinci Resolve? So if you go inside DaVinci Resolve, up the top, click Workspace, and then Console, you'll get this window showing up here. And this is basically where you can input any form of codes and it can perform all sorts of various actions within DaVinci Resolve. So for instance, if I now open up my ChatGPT, they have this Lua code block here. If I copy it and I paste that into the console like so, it automatically creates all these transform nodes. But to get something as seamless where you can just copy and paste and boom, it's working, you really need to understand the limitations of AI. A lot of people assume you can just type into AI, I want to compose my Fusion composition, and it's just going to spit back out the results you need. That's not how it works at all, unfortunately. And the main reason why is that AI gets really dumb really quickly. AI has what's called a token limit. Basically, it's somewhere between 4,000 to 8,000 characters. And once they start exceeding that character limit, you dramatically see them start breaking, getting dumb. The things they're typing out don't make sense. And when you're trying to write something as finely tuned as code, yeah, misspelling one single character will completely screw up everything. So here's the template format that I recommend you use. The first step is to give it a personality. So here I'm telling it to be an expert plugin builder for DaVinci Resolve. And then I tell it what its objective is. It's not done until this objective is complete. I want you to help create a Lua script that automatically aligns a bunch of video clips. So after we've told it its personality, and then we say what its objective is, we start giving it context on the situation. This is where we're going to describe what we've already built in Fusion so it knows where it's starting from. If we don't tell it this, it's going to use tokens trying to figure out where it's supposed to be starting from instead of just getting you the results. The next step is where your Fusion expertise is going to come in. What I'm telling ChatGPT here is, what are the different values we're going to be putting into each of our nodes? The basic principle is I just faffed around with the transform node in Fusion until I had that look and value I wanted, and then I would just report it back inside ChatGPT here, like this is how it works. The more information you can provide like this will dramatically increase the accuracy and reliability of the outputs ChatGPT gives, because it's spending less time thinking how to actually make things work and just writing what you need to get it done. Finally, this is probably one of the most important little pieces that I figured out, is you can't ask it to write the entire code in one go. What I find is if you let ChatGPT try and write all the automation in one big block, it always messes up little things, and then it's a wild goose chase, especially if we don't know coding like on how to fix it. But if you ask it, hey, take each little step, add the transform, change the controls, and give me a little snippet to paste into the console to test, not only do you get a more reliable output, but if something's not working, you can clearly identify a smaller piece and work on that instead of screwing up the entire thing that's been generated in one go. And you can see here's the first one. It's testing, hey, can I actually talk to Resolve? If I copy this and go inside Resolve and then just paste it into the console, you're going to see that while it didn't create anything in our active composition, we can see it's made this transform node all the way off in this distance here. It looks horrible. We can't use this as a human, but we do know that it's adding a transform node to the Fusion composition correctly. It's just not placing it where we want it amongst the whole node tree itself. So as I'm testing out each little chunk, what I would do is write down my notes. Chunk 1 worked, except blah, blah, blah. And you can see that's exactly what I do. I basically just go, this did work, this didn't work, here's what went wrong. And so it allows us to work on each little snippet instead of messing up all the code at once. The biggest issue with this code that went wrong when I originally was working with AI is that it was changing the wrong attributes. So for whatever reason, it was adding all the transforms, the sizes were correct, but the X and Y, where is this going to be positioned on the screen? They weren't adjusting at all. Thankfully, there's a really easy trick to get AI to see exactly how to format its code to work with nodes in Fusion. So here's how. In the transform node, we're going to change the size, the X, and the Y to look exactly how we want. If I highlight this node, hit Command C or Control C, you can put this into any text editor of your choice and hit paste. And if you look at this is our transform node, but instead of being in a node format, it's in a text format. And hey, what do you know? AI can read text. I can see the center and the size settings here. You can either copy the whole lot or you can just copy the bits you need. And then you can go into AI and go, these are the values you need to be modifying. And this is what it looks like in a Lua code format. And with this, AIs will go, oh, okay, I can see what we're doing now. Now I understand how to modify a center control because it's 2 values instead of 1. And it's going to go blah, 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 and it's going to do another try. And again, really important that it's only giving us chunks, right? See here, it's only writing a fix for chunk 3. We don't need to be wasting any of its thinking power on resending us chunks 1 and 2. We just need number 3 to work. It gives me this little test to run. So I copy it inside the console, hit paste, and then I get another error. If you don't know coding, you're not going to know what it means. And we're not here to learn how to read code. So here's how to fix it if you don't know how to read code. And so what I'll do is I will highlight this. Control C doesn't work in the console. You have to right click and hit copy. So back in here, and then I just pasted it in going, blah, blah, blah. Here's what went wrong. And it tells everything AI needs, like, oh, okay, I tried to create code called apply grid layout to transform. This is just some made up bullshit that AI's come up with. And so now it's going to go and recorrect itself and blah, 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 blah. It goes and runs this code. So now that it's realized the mistake it's made, it's gone and given me a new piece of code and I can paste it in like so. And just like that, it's changed the center and the size controls to be exactly what I wanted. Awesome. So now we've got all 3 chunks working. We're able to add a transform. It's positioned correctly in the node graph. It's connected to the right nodes and it's applying the correct value changes we want. Now we just need to repeat that 55 times with slight variations on those values to create that look we wanted. And that's exactly what I said. All right, that new block of code worked perfectly. Let's tie this all together and run a test loop. So now if I copy this code and paste it in like so, you can see that it's added all these transform nodes all the way off to the right, and they're not cleanly organized on my node tree. In fact, it's made everything a mess. Thankfully, you can just go, hey, you made this one little mistake, blah, 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 blah. You need to make sure you position them correctly. And then sure enough, it's going to run through and give us a new block of code. And if we go in here and hit enter, bingo, bango, straight from ChatGPT, all these transform nodes are added and all the clips are now aligned into a grid. But there's a couple things you should really note before you go, all right, let's go off and make my own automations. So one, this is perfect for personal use, but I would never in a million years sell this to actual users as a plugin they could buy. And we'll cover about how you could actually use this to help build tools to sell later. But the other more important thing as well is personalizing these results. Maybe I want to add some padding to this. What if I have more clips and I want to align them in an even bigger grid, right? We want to have these customization options available to us. Thankfully, ChatGPT thought of this for me already with these configs, which is why it's really important to have a bridging tool, something that can help bridge ChatGPT to DaVinci Resolve. Or in my case, I really like using Visual Studio Code. So for instance, I could take this stuff here, copy it, go into Visual Studio Code and paste it. it really helps to format this so that it's readable for humans. We can go down to the bottom right, and from plain text, we can choose Lua. And just like this, we've got these colors helping break down exactly everything we're looking at. It just makes things a lot easier to read. And what I can see here is there is a setting for the number of clips, the padding that I'm using, and yeah, we can see here there's no padding and I want a little bit, so I might just go in here and add 1% padding. Now I can just copy this in the code editor, back inside the console. I'll remove all these transform clips and then go into the console, hit paste, hit enter, boom. Now I've got this lovely padding and the shot perfectly laid out, done like that. Now, if I want to try things out, like let's say, hey, what if I had even bigger padding? Well, I can just hit Command Z or Control Z to undo the script changes, go inside here. Let's try 5% padding. Okay, Control A to select all, Control C to copy, and then inside the console, Control V to paste. And just like this, bing, bang, bong, I get to see how 5% padding looks. Whoa, way too much. I hated that. I definitely want to go back. Well, great. I can just hit Control Z, back inside here, go back, choose one, copy it all, paste it across. Just like that. Easy as. So that's how you connect ChatGPT to Fusion to make it all work like that. Now I need to do this as a disclaimer because every time I've showed a Fusion compositor of this, they immediately think, oh cool, I can make plugins and sell them. Don't. Now the big thing to note here is I've been selling plugins now for roughly a couple of years. I know there are numerous mistakes and shortcuts built into here so that it works for my composition, but this will not work as a customer product at all anyway. And if you try and give this to like an actual expert to build, they're going to spend so much time troubleshooting the existing code. It would have been quicker and more reliable if they'd actually built it from scratch. Which is why if you want to actually use this as a way to look at plugins you can build and sell, it is great at a prototyping stage. Hey, can I call upon the right functions to automate what I want? Can I get that user experience I want? It's great for that. But never in a million years would I trust this as something to sell, which is why the next step in all of this is talking to an expert. So here's Asher Rowland. I am not getting paid in any way to promote him whatsoever. Asher would just have to be the most talented developer you can get for Fusion. If you want to build any sort of Fusion automation, plugin, template, this guy just knows the stuff like the back of his hand. Definitely give Asher a ring. They are an absolute weapon with everything related to DaVinci Resolve, coding, automations, templates, plugins. I hope you can see how AI is going to get rid of a lot more meaningless, repetitive tasks, but that creativity, that responsibility is most definitely still owned by humans and most definitely still will always be owned by humans. So until next time, happy editing, everyone.